All right, welcome to the show, everybody. To the
Well,
most unprofessional but most entertaining pair in radio. We're not even radio. I even messed that that opener up.
Larry, let's
Phil,
start this. Yeah.
Phil, why don't we start over and you do the intro?
I got you, brother. Well, appreciate you taking the bull by the horns there. But welcome in, everybody. It is, as Larry said, Extra Point with Phil Jones and Larry Godwin, who really kind of had just become my regular co-host. And this is something I've been pushing for a while with Larry. And Larry, I'm glad we're actually able to make that happen now on a consistent basis. Really like having you on the show. You bring a lot to the table. Appreciate your expertise and the camaraderie that we have. I think is really good. And I hope you guys feel the same way. So, Larry, thanks again for being with me, brother.
Yeah, man, it's been a good fit. It's been a perfect timing because this time of year, we take a little break on my regular show, the Viking Nation Live. And so during the off season, I've got a little bit of extra time. Work is going well. So the schedule just makes it conducive to helping out on a more regular basis.
Good. So it obviously has worked out to my benefit and sounds like yours as well. Guys, thanks so much for being a part of the show. And, it's like we discovered a couple of years ago, we were kind of like Larry. We pretty much did the show on a seasonal basis. And then once football season went away, we tried to incorporate other sports. Not that there's anything wrong with other sports, don't get me wrong, but football, it is commanded our full year-round attention is what it amounts to. Larry, would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is why, we do this, not 24/7, but you guys get me. It's every week, all year round, and high school football dominates the conversation because of things that we've got happening right now. And Larry and I are going to be talking to you guys about that. Now, before we get started, if you're new to the show, I want to ask you guys, or remind you guys, if you are new to the show, here's what we do. Kind of give you a little bit of an overview. Look, we will talk to y'all, but we want to talk with you. We want you guys to interact with us. Larry and I will be reading the comments from you guys. It's one of the things that we've built this platform on is the interaction, the exchange that we have with y'all. So please, by all means, Larry and I will be checking out the messages all throughout the show. It's part of what we do. So let us hear from you. We're going to start things off by finding out who's in the house. And let's see here. We have got, I know my man Obadiah Farley. I ain't even looked. Okay. I ain't even looked. That's just how confident I am.
Obadiah. Obadiah, we should start calling him Old Faithful. He's always going to be there.
No doubt, man. It's like the guys are in Yellowstone, man. It's always, always going, right? It's always doing its thing. And that's the way it is with Obadiah. And there he is. What's going on, TCC? What's going on with ITG, TCC, DEA, the FBI, the CIA? I would give some other three-letter acronyms here, but might upset some people. Starts with an I and ends with an E. But anyway, I know I'm just messing. No, don't worry, guys. We're not going there. But anyway, Obadiah, thanks so much for being a part of the show. And there he is. I found him. He is here. Michael Baxter checking in. Michael, what's up, brother? Got Milton in the house. Of course, Michael Baxter representing Milton. Andrew Watkins, as always. And a lot of these folks are very faithful, just like Obadiah. Obadiah is always, though, numero uno. And as always, he's in the house. Andrew Watkins also is a regular checking us out and representing Daugherty High. Boy, do you remember the days when Daugherty High had a really good football program? John Reynolds, the former Tift County assistant, went over there and, man, built those guys up. And, they've always been a pretty sound program, especially when they had Cam, the quarterback, not long ago, who led them close to a state championship, if I remember correctly. Larry, you remember that?
Vaguely, man. That was a while ago, wasn't it?
I guess about 6 years ago. Cam, guys, y'all help me out with his last name. And whatever happened to him, heck of an athlete. He was the quarterback there at Daugherty, and we got monthly payments.
What in
the world? Anybody have any idea what that is?
Yeah. Like Phil, you kind of selling something, Phil?
Larry breaking out his Excel expense worksheet today on us, man. So I love it. All right. So, and we've got Brooks Carter checking out the show. You two together bring so much insight and wisdom to high school football in Georgia. Brooks, thank you for saying that, man. I agree with you. Again, that's why I like having Larry on with me. Again, I think we just two peas in a pod. Jose Padilla checking out the show. Hello, Phil. How are you and LG doing? I'm doing great. I think I speak on behalf of Larry that he's doing great as well. Larry, do you have the comments up? You want to read some?
Yeah, we've got Tony Wynn joining us. He's from Jacket Nation, checking in from Jackson, Alabama. How about that?
Hey, yeah, Tony's a regular too, man. Absolutely. And so is Philip Moore, another Thomas County Central guy checking in, Larry. Who else you got?
We got Kerry Claiborne with the national champion Buford Wolves. I said that just for Kerry because he gets the bragging rights. He and I have been going at it, picking at each other all year long, but they got it done, so he gets the bragging rights. So I respect the informal rules of fandom trash talking, right? So he's earned all the rights, and so let me have it, Kerry. Welcome to the show.
Well said. And absolutely, we were up there for the national championship celebration. And listen, you got to remember, too, it was not just for the football team, but it was also for the Lady Wolves softball team. What a great twin programs there that not only won the state, but won the national championship as well. So, hey, I want to invite my guy from Fired Football Coaches of Georgia. I'm going to protect his anonymity, but he has really done a great job. He and I are friends, and we've become buddies, and he's doing a really good job of breaking a lot of news in the world of high school football. So, brother, you know who you are. Fired Football Coaches of Georgia. Grateful for the friendship and grateful for the working relationship as well. So, Philip Moore says, with the power rankings taking effect this year, I see the difference already with CCC schedule. And Larry, we are about to get into that right off the bat, aren't we?
Yeah. We've been waiting for this one.
Tayretta Mayretta is in the house. Tayretta, what are you guys hoping 2026 brings? I know 2025 saw a massive improvement with the Marietta football program under Cameron Duke, the new head coach up there coming up from Orlando area, right? And so anyway, he made a big difference, Larry, with that Marietta Blue Devil football program, and now they are expecting big things once again in 2026. A proud football program that's seen its better days, Larry, but it looks like under Coach Cameron Duke, Marietta's going to be back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, Phil, this coaching situation across the state of Georgia, you thought in normal circumstances it would be pretty much resolved by now, right? We're going into February pretty soon, just a handful of days away.
Yeah.
And most teams have already gotten their off-season conditioning program off to a good start, right? Mm-hmm. So these programs that don't have head coaches, they're kind of behind. There's obviously these teams that have vacancies in the head coaching position. They still have assistant coaches that remain, right? They're keeping the program going, functioning, that kind of stuff, having kids work out. But there's two things that happen. Without a head skipper, if you will, you really don't, if you're an existing staff, you really don't know the program that the head guy wants, right? So you'd hate to start an off conditioning program in full force. New guy comes in a couple of weeks later, and now you're starting over, right? So there's a little bit of hesitancy when the head coach vacates and you're expecting a new one. And so now we're approaching February. They don't have it yet, so don't really know what direction they want the off-season conditioning program to go. The other thing is when a head guy goes, the assistants that remain feel there is a lot of uncertainty in those assistant coaching ranks, right? And that would be expected, right? So some of those guys, they don't know if they're going to be asked to stay by the incoming new head coach.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to pursue other coaching position that changes of their own, like maybe they want to be head coaches themselves. So there's a lot of uncertainty this time of year. That's why these programs want to get a new guy in as quickly as possible. And so that's why I'm so surprised that we still have so many vacancies out there.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about them, and we'll come back. Got a lot of things to cover today. We talked about the schedules. And by the way, thanks Stephen Wynn letting us know that Cam Davis is just transferred from Florida State to Liberty University. Mitch Mitchell also breaking the news on that. Cam Davis now at Liberty. Thank you guys for that bit of information. Jose Padilla, somebody must owe the IRS. That's a monthly payment sheet. Anyway, so all right. So Larry was talking about these and making great points, Larry, about these coaching situations. You got to go well beyond what we all see, which is the head football coach. Okay, yeah. We're interested in who's getting the head coaching position, who's coming from to a certain position, a certain program. But what you got to remember, what Larry was talking about, you've got, what is it, Larry, on average, every high school, and I'll say mid, and it could be across the board, but most staffs consist of how many assistant coaches?
Well, it depends
12,
on the
10 to 15?
Depends on the classification, right?
Yeah, right.
The larger programs have more assistants.
Right.
Anywhere from probably the smallest 1A programs maybe have 8 to 10. The largest programs probably have around, 14 to 17, maybe a little bit more, depending on what labels they give them. Yeah. So anywhere from 10 to 20 that you would expect.
All right, so you got a lot of different personalities, a lot of different individuals, a lot of people's livelihoods. You got to remember, for every one of those numbers, you've got X amount of people, i.e., family members, wives, kids that are depending on the. So it really does have a residual effect, okay, on these families. So always remember that. Now, right now, basically, you've got Appling County, which is still open. Now, our guy at Fired Football Coaches of Georgia is reporting this afternoon that the quarterbacks coach at Lowndes is in line to be named the head football coach at Appling County. Larry, what is that gentleman's name, quarterbacks coach?
J.D. Sellers.
I think it's John David, right?
I believe that's right. And if that's true, Appling is getting one energetic guy. He's a young guy, Phil, tons of energy. And he spent some time in the upper classifications. And so going back to Appling, Appling over the last several years has built a pretty good reputation of being a winning football program, right?
Some of the best facilities as well in the state, especially at the AA level, Larry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't see them taking a step back at all when you have someone like J.D. Sellers, if that's true, him taking over the program. I'm trying 100%. To, going forward, Phil, I'm kind of sensitive to Kerry Claiborne. He's accusing me of filibustering, so I'm trying to be more concise. So we'll see if that promise lasts or not.
All right, I got you. So Ren Estes checking us out in the house, Phil and LG, to catch up on what's going on with all schools getting new coaches. Ren, great to hear from you, my man. Really appreciate you checking into the show. Hope you guys are doing well today. Alan Clanton is checking out the show today. What's up, Alan? All right, so Appling County, if this is the case, as Larry has certainly given his endorsement of the potential head football coach at Appling. Now, let's talk about Cook.
Yeah.
Cook, and I know that they've got some really good candidates. It doesn't seem like, though, they are in any kind of hurry. And I'm not saying this from a bad, with any malice involved. It just doesn't seem like Cook really has let's just say they're taking their time. Okay. Yeah. And that's fine. They're wanting to do their due diligence. Mm-hmm. Well, where have we heard that, right? I'll go into it. I'll get into it in a minute. Due diligence. You got to exercise that due diligence, man. Because if you don't, if you know, you know. If you know what I'm talking about, Anyway, so it looks like Cook is taking their time. And you know what, Larry? I think we've talked about it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. This is one of the potentially top jobs in the state, regardless of classification. We know that Byron Slack, understandably, he has that doctorate degree, which is going to give him a pretty good percentage bump in annual salary, annual compensation on top of what he's already being paid, right? Now, having said that, you've got Byron Slack was in the top 10 of highest paid coaches in the state of Georgia. Not a bad gig for a AA school in Adel, Georgia. So that being said, even if you don't have a doctorate, you're still going to be in the $100,000 plus range again, and that's kind of the going rate right now. If you're a coach worth your salt and you're at any fairly reputable program, what would you say that the percentage, Larry, of coaches at 100K and above is? 60%?
With the man, if you take a look at every classification across the state, I don't know if the I don't even know if it's as high as this. The schools in South Georgia, in South Georgia in particular, 60% is probably a low average. It's probably more like 75 to 80% that are approaching 100K. Maybe they're not there yet, but there's. I remember when Tim Allagood was at Berrien, he was pulling down 95K at Berrien.
Wow, boy, you're bringing back some memories there, dude. Forgot all about Tim Allagood, but go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, and so in South Georgia, I think it probably, tends to be more closer to the 100K or maybe even 100 plus. In the metro Atlanta area, especially counties like North Gwinnett and some of the bigger population-based counties that have so many different high schools, right? So you have smaller starting salaries there for their head coaches. Like take, for example, Grayson. A lot of people are shocked when they see someone like Santavius Bryant leaving Grayson to go up to Gainesville, and they find out that at Grayson he really wasn't making nowhere near what these other top-paying head coaches are making, right? So he got a big pay bump, I would imagine, going to Gainesville.
Oh yeah, I'd say probably at least 20 grand, if not more.
That's right. But so to answer your question, sorry, Kerry, I just answered it in the LG way. So to answer your question, if you are in the South, you're more likely to get a salary of 100K or plus. If you're in the metro Atlanta area, probably not as much. As if you start to go outside of metro Atlanta, your salary, I think, as a head coach starts to go up again.
Okay. So let's move on then. And so we've got Cook that's still available. Going to be interesting to see who they bring in. I've heard some very interesting names mixed in with this job. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to see where they go. But again, I think Cook is a really good destination type job. Great facilities. They got a great weight room. That stadium is second to none. The administration they got is dedicated to winning. You've got the Booster Club, and I know those guys. Okay. You've got Brad Mathis, you've got Dr. Mike McCartney, you've got Frank Carter. I hope I don't leave anybody out. You've got Chad Sumner. Chad Sumner, not to be confused with the insurance Chad Sumner, but you got Chad Sumner, the big farmer up there. So you got a lot of people that are really dedicated to providing the resources, i.e. the salary, whatever they need to make, to basically bring in a top flight head football coach. So regardless of who they get, you can bet that it's going to be a good top tier head football coach coming in to take over at Cook. Now, let's move on and talk about Charlton County. Now, Charlton County is a job, Larry, that's still open. Now, you got to remember, this is a great football program with a lot of history. Demario Jones has been there for the last 4 or 5 years, and he's done a really good job there. And you would hate to see them take a back seat, which I don't think they will. Don't get me wrong, but it sounds like Charlton County is doing a lot of good things. Where was it I heard though that they had backed out or backed away from the feeder program? Larry, I think we were talking about this last week or the week before, where they had done away with rec football. Where was that? Y'all remember? Was it Clinch?
Done away with rec football.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago on the show. I think they had eliminated some of the youth programs. I think it was from an expense standpoint. But anyway,
I remember that, but I can't remember where.
Yeah, I can't remember. If any of you guys have any insight on that, please let us know. But man, you hate to hear about those kind of things, and obviously we hope that we hope that if it's true, they can get it remedied some way. But Alan Clanton is talking about nothing against Rush, great coach, but no one seems to be, or seems that no team in Georgia needs to take the chances. Yeah, I think you're right. And we knew it was going to be tough for Rush to get another shake in Georgia. Unfortunately, there's a lot of, this is about perception, guys. Perception is reality. Okay. And so I think the perception is that with Rush, I don't feel this way. I think the guy, if he's given another chance, which he was just given another chance over there at Coosa Christian Academy in Alabama. And you saw what the guy did, Larry. He won a state championship with a roster, and I'm talking about an active roster. I'm not talking about just setting guys over on the sideline and letting them be cheerleaders. I'm talking about an active roster of about 15 guys. Okay, winning a state championship. There's something to be said that the guy is crafty. He knows how to coach. He knows the X's and O's as good as anybody. So having said all that, Rush needs to be given another chance to coach in Georgia. I'm just amazed at the what am I trying to say here? The police, the people that are trying to judge Rush based on his past. And come on, are you kidding me? We all have skeletons in our closet, so let's not go there. Rush he's getting older, more mature, like we all do. He's learned from his mistakes. Rush is a great coach, does a lot of good things for the kids. So hopefully Rush will be given a chance to. And look, it's not that he has to prove anything, Larry, but we'd like to see Rush given another chance. Now, his name was mentioned in connection with Rome, possibly. That's not going to happen. But let's talk about Rome, because this is the job that's really been at the forefront of everybody's minds. Everybody's talking about it. We, of course, were one of the two sites in Georgia. Our friends at Fire Football Coaches of Georgia was the other one. We almost simultaneously pretty much broke the fact that Bill Stewart was the guy in Rome. Now, there's been some disagreement. There's been some, conflict of information, I guess I'll say, in exactly what happened and how it happened, okay? Was I in the room? No, Larry. But what I can tell you, based on pretty good sources, is that Bill Stewart was the guy, but I think the Board of Education felt like they wanted to look a little further. They wanted to dig a little deeper and get some other candidates in. And with that being said, the recommendation to hire Bill Stewart was not made, from what I understand. But after about a 10-day quietus that was put on everything at Rome, it looks like now, possibly this week, they're going to go back and make Bill Stewart the head football coach at Rome. That's according to the sources that I have. Larry, I'll let you jump in here.
Yeah, so it's taken a couple of weeks to get to this point, and I think from what we're hearing that everybody's finally on the same boat, rowing in the same direction. I think what it would boil down to, and this is pure speculation on my part, but you had some key components of that decision-making process that were in disagreement before that first special called board meeting last week. And it really surprised me, because normally that kind of stuff is worked out ahead of time. And so when it came back as no vote last week, then you knew that there was an issue, because normally when they go into an executive session like that, obviously they're talking about a hire, that kind of stuff. They're talking about either legal matters, real estate, or personnel. That's the three things executive sessions are usually for.
Right.
So they go in and talk about this special hire as a head coach. And I'm just giving you my background, because I've studied boards of education, because I used to be active politically in the local sense. So I've looked into all this stuff. So when you have these discussions about a key hire, what typically happens, Phil, is they usually take an informal straw poll. It's not a formal vote or anything like that. It's just
amongst the board members,
the county attorney, whoever's in that room.
Okay.
So amongst the voting members of the Board of Education, they usually just do an informal, hey, what do you think? Yeah, I think I can go on. So they take this informal straw poll.
When is that done?
What's that now?
When is this straw poll? Is informal straw poll? What is the timing? When is this done, Larry?
This is usually in the executive session
Okay,
behind
very
closed
good.
doors.
Just prior to what should be the
Just prior
recommendation.
before they go back out into the public, into
Okay.
a public meeting. Okay.
Okay. All
And
right.
so they take the straw poll in the executive session. They either say, yeah, I think we have the votes. Nothing's said in concrete because they can't do that. So
Right.
someone will say, typically the county attorney will say, yeah, we got something we could possibly move forward. Or if they have an indication that there is a disagreement that the vote's going to fail, that's when, and you usually get tipped off because when they go back into public session, someone will say, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. And then they vote and they adjourn it, and there's no vote on the candidate. So that's how you can deduce that there was disagreement in the executive session. So they basically regroup, they punt, they get back together, they collaborate. Now, here's the interesting part. They cannot legally meet together again as a collective body of Board of Education members because they have to give notice that they're going to meet officially, right? So typically what happens is they'll start calling each other one at a time because they can't all meet together because that would be a quorum. And when there's a quorum that's involved, they have to publicly announce they're going to meet. So they have these informal discussions one-on-one. And so apparently over the last week or so, they probably got together on the same page and they're ready to move forward with a candidate. The hiring committee comes back, the superintendent's in agreement, then they typically go back into executive session. Now, this is the second time they're going to go back into this, supposedly. So I would be shocked if they come out and don't take a public vote. Because if they do this same thing again, there's no way they're going to move forward with this candidate. Because if that candidate were wise, he would withdraw his name from the process because now it's just making him look bad.
Gotcha. And I think you answered my next question. And Larry, really great insight, that you're providing to a lot of us who really, I know a little bit about it, but not a whole lot about the process and how it works. You've had a little bit more dealings with me and probably a lot of people in this forum. By the way, Joshua Chase Garnto, checking in. What's up, Chase? He goes by Chase, right?
That's right.
Okay, we'll make sure I got it right. Just want to make sure we get some of these folks that are coming in. Jermaine Kelly Graham, don't worry, Larry, I'm going to come back in and pick right up where you left off. Valdosta Wildcat fans who really do want Rush back, just afraid to admit they made a mistake letting him go in the first place. I will tell you that I've heard that there's a good bit of support for Rush, for what it's worth. I'm just telling you what I've heard. All right, so Larry, let me go back to it. So you provide some pretty good insight now, and we hear this word, a quorum. Now, is the required number of board members it takes to make a vote official? Is that right? And if so, how many does that have to be? A simple majority?
So every governing body operates on something called a quorum. And I just looked it up just to make sure I'm giving people the right definition, right? So it's the minimum number of members of an assembly or group that must be present at any of the meetings to make the proceedings.
Which was my question, which was exactly what I asked.
That's exactly right.
Which is exactly what I asked.
Exactly right. So it's basically a majority.
There you go.
And so if they don't have a quorum, then they can't meet.
So there's normally, so let's say I think there's 7 board members. So they would have to have 4.
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Larry.
But when it comes to a major hire like that, there's going to be no way that they proceed with just 4 board members. You know why? Because they all need political cover.
Gotcha.
So this is such a high profile hire, whether it's a superintendent or a head football coach, they need as many members, and most likely all of them will be there, just because they want to vote as a block, meaning strength in numbers, right? Because if something goes wrong, everybody's wrong instead of people pointing fingers at each other, right? So that's why they all need political cover with a high profile hire.
I got you. All right. So and we're going to keep this thing going. And Larry, I really appreciate that explanation. That's fantastic stuff there. So with that being said, it sounds like that they're going back now sort of into round 2, the second go around of this thing, and they're going to make another run at it. Okay. And with that, whether it's tomorrow or Wednesday, still like they're going to make another run at it, going to try to get another vote to solidify what I'm hearing, what the majority of the people up there want, which is to make Bill Stewart the next head football coach.
That's right. That's right. So if it is indeed Bill Stewart, then I expect them to fully endorse him as a. I would be shocked if it's not unanimous at this point.
Me too.
And so if they end up not taking a vote again, don't be surprised if Coach Stewart withdraws his name, because now this is the second time he's gone through it.
Kelly Fountain. Kelly Fountain says, Bill Stewart, it is, Phil, LOL. Now, I'm guessing that is confirmation of what we're talking about here, because I know Kelly's pretty well connected up there. So, Kelly, look, I want Bill Stewart to get it. Bill Stewart, to me, Larry, he checks the boxes for so many reasons. He's successful. He's professional. He's I think he's exactly what Rome needs, coming in right behind a coach like John Reed, right? Yeah. You've got experience there, stability, a winning coach. I just think he checks all the boxes, guys. I'd like to hear what y'all think. And Kelly, I know you're close to the program, so would love to hear what you guys think as well. Let's see. Alan Lott, Rush will win a state championship game. I guess you're meaning in Georgia. Hopefully, if he got to be given the chance first. But I think if he is given the chance, I wouldn't put the odds against him at all. Again, the guy has nothing to prove at all. I mean, he needs a chance, I guess is what I'm saying. Larry, do you think Rush will be given another chance in Georgia?
Yes, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to that.
Okay.
If Rush doesn't price himself out of the market.
That's a good point.
Rush is considered, rightly or wrongly, I'm just telling you the way he's perceived out there. Okay. All the extra stuff aside, as just a pure football mind and a football coach, he's considered one of the best football coaches in the nation, right?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And I'm pretty certain that he thinks of himself that way as well, and rightfully so. And because he thinks of himself that way, he thinks that he commands the highest salary probably in the state of Georgia. Well, that's logical, right? And so, Phil, if you take a look at the highest salaries in the state of Georgia now, as far as high school football coaches, do y'all remember what that was?
As far as the number?
Yeah, what's the highest salary in Georgia as far as?
Joey King was making about $225.
Okay,
so which was well above the second place coach.
And the second one was what, 175, 185, something like that?
And I think it was John Reed.
Yeah, and so think about that for a second. So if Rush approaches a school system, they're interested, they start negotiating. He says, you got a coach that's making 225. I'm the best out there. I've won all these other championships. I think I'm worth at least 225. As a matter of fact, I'm probably worth 235, 240, right? And so at what point, if you're a school system, do you start questioning, we would love to have you, but man, that's a lot of money. And because we're talking more than just paying a head football coach, because Rush, probably like any other winning high-profile head coach, probably has his core group of guys, his assistants that he wants to bring with him, right? Yep. And he wants to take care of those guys, so he wants big-time salaries for those guys. So it's more than just the salary of a high-profile head coach. So you're talking someone like a Rush Probst, when you take consideration all the other salaries of assistant coach, Phil, you're probably approaching close to $400,000.
Oh, yeah. Yes, man, that's some serious money.
That's a lot of money when you start to break it down.
Yeah. Tolly Henshaw, Camden is winning a state championship. Well, maybe so. Rosser Sutherland, hello from Marietta. We were talking about Marietta earlier. Congrats to Coach Cameron Duke for winning Score Atlanta 6A Coach of the Year. Alan Clanton responds to Camden's, whoever it was, saying Camden's going to win a state championship. Alan Clanton, Boom. Not in football anytime soon. Sorry. Ooh, Allen, man, that was tough, man. Uh, let's see here. Levon during the show. No, I'm just kidding. It's Levon during. All right, here's another great point here. Great question, Levon. Levon likes his money. Levon, I changed it up. Levon says, "Who is Rockmart going to get for their head football or head coach?" So, what I'm hearing is a name that's being thrust into the coaching situation there in Rome.
It's a good name.
Larry, yeah, it is. Rich Finley. Now, I'm going to preface this with allegedly. Okay, allegedly, what I'm hearing is that Rich Finley, and look, we talked about this last week on the show, Larry. You and I did. And I can tell you, Coach Finley was watching, and I think he's okay with what we're doing. Basically, last week I said we were talking about. I said, look, Rich Finley has pretty much done all he can do, all he can prove at this point. I mean, what else do you need? He's won 4 state championships. Not that he wouldn't mind winning 5, but Rich Finley has won 4 consecutive state championships. That's already putting him in very rare earth, or in very rare company.
That's right.
Larry. So he's already won 4 consecutive state championships. That's hard to do. Now, you do have his player who is now the all-time career receiver in Georgia. Somebody help me out with his name. I did this last week and I forgot his name. Anyway, the leading receiver in the state. He broke the record this past season. He will be moving on to the University of Georgia.
Is that Prothro again?
Caden Prothro. Thank you, Larry. So Caden Prothro is moving on to the University of Georgia. So look, and I'm not saying that Coach can't win without him. Of course he can. He's proven that. But you're losing a big part of your offense and your defense. The guy blocked the kick, returned it 4 times. I mean, he can do everything. Okay. But he's gone. He's not coming back. You lose a big cog in your team's success. Again, I don't think it really matters in the big picture. The bigger picture is that Rich Finley has proven he can win, Larry. Okay. And so I don't think there's anything left to prove, not at Bowden or not at that level. Rich Finley wants to take it to the next level. Who doesn't? Rich Finley wants to go and prove to himself and the coaching community, the fans across the state. Can you win at the next level? Larry, that's just the next natural progression, right?
Yeah. And so if you are Phil, when you're a school like Rockmart, they've had some recent success in AA and AAA, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But if you take a look at their history, they have not historically been a very good football program until Biff Parson took over back in 2016. He took over a 4-8 and 2-8 program and immediately went 9-3. And ever since he took over in 2016, they've won 9 or more games every single year. So think about that. He takes a 2-8 team, a 4-8 team, and Parson gets at least 9 wins every single year since that. But you know what? That also means, Phil, in their history, they've won a handful of region titles and 1 state championship. In the last 9 years, Parsons won 9 region championships in a row, right? But he hasn't won a state title there yet. And so that is the although he did reach the championship game a couple years ago, right? So that is the next evolutionary step in that school system's mind, right? They go from a decent football program to a really good football program, and now they want to excel with a guy like Rich Finley and take it to an excellent football program.
One thing that I'm a little concerned, not concerned, I'm a little curious about is the fact that you got Biff Parsons going from Rockmart to Hart County. Now, listen, guys, nothing against Hart County. Okay. Rance Gillespie coached there. Did a pretty good job from everything I understand. But, I don't know, Larry. There's sometimes when moves are made and we call it a lateral move, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily a step down, and coaches do things for a reason. Got to remember, sometimes, unlike Rich Finley, maybe taking the next logical step, like you said, it's the next step in the evolution of his career. Maybe coaches want to do it for other reasons.
Yeah.
Family. They're settled where they are. Maybe they're looking to attain some kind of retirement criteria. Larry, we've seen Robbie Pruitt do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to wonder now if that has to do with Biff Parsons. By the way, does anybody out there know? Don't answer, Larry. Does anybody out there know how Biff Parsons got his name? Biff. See if anybody out there knows the answer to that. I know it because he told me. But anyway, Larry, you know it?
No, but I would guess. Does it have to do with Back to the Future?
Nope. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean, Larry?
One of the leading characters in the antagonist in that whole series of movies, Michael J. Fox, Back to the Future, I believe his name was Biff.
Really?
Yeah.
That wasn't the old crazy professor guy, scientist.
No. That was the doc. That was the doc.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but no, that's not it. It's but let's see if anybody out there else can guess it. But anyway, so Biff Parsons is going from Rockmart to Hart County. Now again, I don't think I don't know. I'm just thinking about pay. I'm sure Biff is well over $100,000 at Rock. I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. I don't guess we have to guess. There was that thing that was released not long ago, Larry, of all the salaries in Georgia. It is public record, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we can look it up and find out exactly what it is. But I would think that maybe there's a little more pay coming his way. I have heard that the Biff wants to be on the lake, which is Lake Hartwell, there in Hart County. Nevertheless, having said all that, I think, let me tell you, who would be great I'm jumping around here. I've heard that Rich Finley may want to go to Rockmart if the Rome deal doesn't work out for him. I got to tell you, that's a great fit. You know who else would be a great fit at Rockmart?
Who's that?
We got a lot of R's going. Yes. I was going to say, we got a lot of R's. Remember your 3 R's, which I never did understand why arithmetic was mentioned in that.
I thought you were going to say reading, writing, rush.
You got you got 1 out of 3, right? But Larry, why was arithmetic mentioned as a third R?
Just to make it clever so you can remember it, I guess.
Make it fit, right? It used to always bug me. It'll start with R. I get it. Arithmetic. Anyway. But right, Larry, I think Rush would be a great fit for Rockmart. Great fit. It's a rural type school.
Yeah.
But the only thing is Rush loves South Georgia. This is where he wants to be, and he wants to take a program and build it into a national brand. He has told me that. He told the folks, I don't know if you guys saw the article that I think it was Jack Leo wrote for the AJC, where he referenced our story that we did on Rush. If you get a chance to read it, it's good stuff. I don't mind turning people on to I don't even think they're a competitor, but to other news sources stories if it's good. That bother me a bit. I have no hang up. I'm very comfortable in what we do and how we do it. But anyway,
so Bill, let me, for just about every opening, for every year, you always hear Rush is a great fit for that school, or Rush would be perfect for that school, or that school.
Certain ones, I think, Larry.
Yeah. So I think what fans forget about sometimes is the second half of that equation, right? And that is the community a good fit for Rush? Rush would be an excellent football coach no matter where he went, and he would win no matter where he went, because that's just the way he is as a football coach. Some guys just got it, and he's got it. But for the quality of life that he wants for his family, and not having people or a group of antagonists looking over his shoulder, scrutinizing every single move that the guy makes throughout his tenure there, he's got to make sure that the community is a good fit for him as well. So what does that mean? So is the community as motivated to win as he is? Because he's going to demand a lot of changes. He's going to implement his system, not just Rush. When Tucker Pruitt goes down to Camden, he's got a process. He's got a system. and that community has got to get on board, or it's not going to work out. So that's why I say it's got to be a good fit, not just for the head coach, but for the community as well.
That's definitely a fair point, Larry. And so, what is the definition or the criteria for what makes a good community for Rush? Not only is Rush a good coach for our community or a good fit for our community, so I think that's fair. So, all right, guys, all right, let's talk about the schedules.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure all of you have seen by now. Your favorite team's schedule has been released, okay? Or programs that you keep up with or maybe don't like. Anyway, that you have some relevance to. The football schedules, and remember, this is the new, that begins the new rotation, the 2-year rotation, okay? This is not the repeat from last year. These are brand new schedules, and don't forget, it's a part of the realignment situation. And it also is kicking off the new postseason ranking formula. Is that what it's called? PSR
postseason ranking.
Postseason ranking formula. All right, so guys, we started talking about this last year. If you'll remember, the GHSA, I believe it was, actually started showing you how teams would be ranked and if they would be eligible for the postseason if the system that's in effect now, if it was in effect this past year, they were showing you who would be eligible for the playoffs. Okay, Larry, you and I know pointed that out numerous times, right?
That's right.
We pointed out to you some things just for reference that Camden County and Tift County would both be making the playoffs if what happened to them this past year, okay, if what happened to them this past year, which was Tift County winning, I believe it was three ball games, Larry?
3-7, yeah.
Okay, so, you had Tift County 3-7, yet they were going to be making the playoffs. Camden County, Larry and I talked about this earlier today. Larry, this is even more staggering in my opinion. So you got Camden County that won one region game, right, Larry?
I believe that's right.
They did. Big Tift County, right there at the end of the season. Okay. So, but prior to that, you may remember, guys, we had Camden County that was based on the PSR formula, ranking the top teams in the state of Georgia by classification. And in Class 6A last year, remember, it's going to 7A now. In 6A last year, for which Camden was then a member of, or is now a member of, Larry, you've got Camden County was ranked as the 10th, I think it was, I may be off a little bit. They were, I believe, the 10th best team in the state based on the PSR.
That's close.
12th?
12th, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, point being, they were already going to be a playoff team, okay, if this formula was in place this past season. Think about that, guys. You've got Tift County and Camden County automatically making it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, you want to get your thoughts? Chime in here, man.
Can I show what's on the screen?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And before you do that, Larry, real quick, and go ahead, Larry, I just want to point out to everybody, if you haven't noticed by now, these schedules that are coming out, guys, they got a lot of cupcakes on them.
Yeah.
But don't fault the schools or the coaches, because there is a reason that they're simply doing what they've got to do. Right, Larry?
That's right, yeah.
And with that, Larry, go give your side of things here, buddy.
Okay, so if you'll notice, I've put something on the screen, and this is directly from the Georgia High School Association website. So you're free to go and validate what we're talking about. It's directly off their website. You can see it. You can go to ghsa.net. Keep
talking, Larry. I'm getting a drink.
Yeah, go all the way to the right of the screen. Under resources, choose postseason ranking, and you'll get this screen pops up. guys, here's what we're talking about, right? What Phil was talking about earlier is, Region 1 6A last year. In the old format, the top 4 teams in the region are going to make the playoffs, right? But the GHSA went ahead and ran the PSR scores for all the teams across the state in every classification. And if you take a look at Camden and Tift, even though they didn't make the playoffs in the old format, in the new format going forward using PSR, look where Camden County, let's scroll down, look where Camden County ends up. The number 12th seeded team in the state. That means they would have hosted a playoff game. But instead, they didn't make the playoffs and their head coach was fired. Man, oh man, that's how critically important this new PSR system. If you scroll down, remember there's 32 teams that are going to make it to the playoffs. Look who the 32nd team was in this PSR based on last year's schedule. Tift County. They won 3 games. And according to the PSR, they would have been the number 12th seeded team in the state. So that leaves you wonder, how in the world could that even be so? How? I want to show you how. Let's take a look at Tift County's PSR. And so the GHSA does a great job in explaining the breakdown. Now, I'm going to click on this word that says explain. It takes you to another page and shows you all the formulas that goes into calculating that team's PSR number or score. Okay. It's going to be confusing, but bear with me. I'm going to have an easy way to explain all this stuff. So bear with me. So we're going to go into Tift County's PSR. And Phil, take a look at how complicated this looks. Look at this. So here's the short version of this, guys. The PSR,
Make it quick and pretty easy, Larry.
yeah. So I'll try my best. The PSR score is made up of 3 parts to a formula. It's your winning percentage, your opponent's winning percentage, and then your opponent's winning percentage. Now, that's still kind of hard to conceptualize. So what I did was I took this. Now, if you've ever bought a car in the past, you may recognize this. If you haven't, I don't think the car business even uses this model anymore. But back in the old days, I'm talking 2-3 decades ago, I think. And my brother's in the car business, so he taught me this when I was started out on my own. So he said, Larry, we have something in the car business back then called the 4 square. It's basically 4 components. And so when the salesman says, hey, what kind of monthly payment do you want to get to? So that's the number that you want to get to, right? So that's the final PSR score that a school wants to get to. But guess what, guys? You can easily manipulate that number based on the other 3 components, right? So for example, if you wanted a monthly payment of $200, well, shoot, you got to manipulate one of these other 3 squares. So your trade-in value has to be worth more, or you got to put a higher down payment, or you got to bring the purchase price down or let it go up. And all those 3 components are going to affect the final number, and that's the monthly payment. So I want you to get into the habit of thinking of the postseason ranking field as the old 4 square when it comes to buying a car. And that is, to get to that final number, there's 3 components. And if you are sharp mathematically, you can manipulate those 1, 2, or all 3 of those components to come up with a winning PSR ranking number. And that's exactly what's happening. I think these coaches have figured that out. And what we thought was going to be a whole slew of tough games in the non-region schedule, I think it's going to be just the opposite. It's going to be not world beaters. I don't think it's going to be bottom of the barrel cellar dwellers that we've seen scheduled happen. But I think they're going to get into the habit of scheduling kind of teams that are in the middle, quality teams, but not the world beaters out there. Because one, you got to win, because that's a third of the component. The second is you're relying on your opponents to have a winning record, and the third component is your opponents need to have a winning record. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so when you learn how to manipulate that through scheduling, you could win 3 games and still make the playoffs.
Yeah. So basically, and Larry, thanks for giving us kind of the Cliff Notes version of that. And it does seem complicated. It really is pretty simple. But so, in essence, just to drill down to the very basics here in layman terms. So, if you see the schedules, if you've looked at the schedules that have already been released, guys,
Yeah.
well, I think a lot of us thought that the new formula was going to make, because I can remember the first conversations that everybody had. Man, we're going to start to see more competitive schedule. To be honest with you, Larry, and to our listener viewers, because I made the points about this several times over the last few years. I want to take you guys back to about a decade ago, somewhere in that ballpark, 8 to 10 years ago. Do y'all remember when almost every team out there was guilty of breezing through the regular season, the non-region portion of their schedules, scheduling nothing but I hate to say cupcakes because everybody's got teams, and these are mama's sons we're talking about. Okay,
Let's call them low quality teams.
Oh man, I hate that. But anyway, we'll go. We'll go with that. But guys, y'all know what I'm saying, right? I mean, how many? Remember all those games where all those years where teams would release their schedule, and it would be like ho hum. Can we just please get through the non-region portion of the schedule because we know this team's going to go 5-0, and they would be. And listen, there was a bunch of teams that were guilty of that. I say guilty of that. I don't know what other word to use, but y'all remember that, guys? I want to hear from you because I certainly do. And then about maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, somewhere around there, we started seeing these schedules become tougher and tougher because most coaches to a man thought, and I think they were right, most coaches to a man thought, Larry, and to our viewers, that, hey, we need to schedule some tough opponents, non-region, because why? It's not going to matter. Because all that matters is the region. That's all that matters. So now we're going back away from that. I know that's a double negative there, but we're going away from that. And that's taking us back to where we were before the time I just mentioned, guys.
Yeah.
So in other words, now the emphasis is going to be solely on scheduling, making a schedule that for the most part, is going to be very kind to you and your team. Yeah. And what I mean by that, wins. Okay, and what I also mean by that, 50-0 games, yawn fest, snooze fest games that we used to have. It looks like with the new PSR, the postseason formula, we're going to go back to that. And so with that being said, there's some good and some bad mixed up in this, if you see what I'm saying. Yeah. One part of it, you got a lot of snooze fest games, you got a lot of cupcakes, but your team, if you are a Tift County fan, and I'm just using those two teams as an example. There were many more, Larry, that were like that, right?
Yeah.
Larry, hang with me. So you've got these teams like your Camdens of the world, the Tift Counties of the world. Those are the teams that are going to benefit because, hey, why did Camden why were they so highly ranked last year? You and I talked about that earlier today. Why don't you explain? Because a lot of people, we used to talk about it, Larry.
Yeah.
Man, look at Camden is like, and again, I'm splitting hairs here, but whether they're 10th or 12th, they were one of the highest ranked teams in the state, yet they were like last in their own region. Larry, there was a reason for that. Why was that?
Yeah, so they were perfect in their non-region component. Okay, so that means they had 5 games where they won. They were 5-0 in the non-region, right? I believe that's right. And so
5-0.
And so they were credited with all those wins. Remember, a third of that component is your win percentage, right? So they were credited with all 5 wins without a loss. Now, the second part of that.
By the way, this is almost the perfect scenario for beating the system, Larry. Go ahead.
That's right. Now, some people would argue like, okay, so the region's going to get them, and that's going to drag them down. No, it's not. Remember, the second part of that, there is no part of that component that factors in a quote unquote region strength of schedule or region. I shouldn't characterize that because that was incorrect. And I'll explain in a second. So there's no part of the PSR formula that factors in per se your region. Okay. So it basically treats all 10 games the same. Win percentage, your opponent's win percentage, and your opponent's win percentage. It does not distinguish between region game and non-region game. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay. So here's the quirk of the new formula. And that was the GHSA opponent count.
Real quick, like Clarence Smitty Smith, look at his question. So all of the Region 1-6A teams would have made the playoffs? Yes, they would have, Clarence.
Yes.
Go ahead, Larry.
If last year used the new PSR system, yes, that's what we're saying. Based on last year's schedules and the final records, all 6 teams would have made the playoffs.
You're right,
and
absolutely.
Tift County would have been the 32nd seeded team. They would have barely made it in, but they would have made it in.
They would have traveled to Grayson probably to take on the Rams. But you know what? Again, hey, don't forget, Berrien County went to Lamar County and won. All you want to do is make the playoffs. Whatever happens, happens. Larry, go ahead.
That's right. And for Kerry Claiborne's sake, it's a good thing that Berrien didn't travel to Grayson because we would have walloped those guys up there. I'm just saying.
I heard that. Now, you meant Buford, didn't you?
What's that now?
You meant Buford, didn't you?
Yeah, Berrien would have traveled all the way to Buford and just walloped the Wolves up there.
Kerry, man, Buford would not have known what hit him, brother.
That's right. The big red machine would have taken down the big green meanies. Okay, so there's a quirk in the formula, Phil, and that is it doesn't account for out-of-state competitors. Okay, so it doesn't treat them any different. It classifies whether it's a private school that you play or a state opponent. It just classifies it as a non-GHSA contest. Okay.
Okay, wait a minute now. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying here, Larry.
Yeah.
Okay, so like when Camden played those teams last year at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Now, those were mostly Florida teams, I believe, right?
Correct.
Okay, so are you saying that did that work against? I mean, it obviously did not work against Camden.
No, it actually helped them, and here's how.
Okay.
So they got credit for the win, their winning percentage, and so that's a third of the formula. Okay.
Right.
So they got credit for their opponent's win percentage, but they didn't get. But the third component did not factor into the equation because the state of Georgia is not going to go out and investigate all the state of Florida opponents win percentage. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So there was part of that component that did not hurt them.
Okay.
It didn't help them, but it didn't hurt them as well.
Okay. All right.
So it could have been a terrible team in the state of Florida they played, and that terrible team could have had a winning percentage, but they got that winning percentage by their opponents playing these cupcake games, right? So that third component didn't hurt them, is what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Okay. So basically, all right. So Larry is explaining how Camden County, and guys, pay attention because this could happen to your team this year. This brings whole new hopes to teams. Forget about where your team is in the region. I know a lot of people, Larry, have been talking about Tift County. Tift County going to a region with Thomas County Central.
2-6A, yeah.
2-6A in Lee County. A lot of people are going, oh my gosh, man, what are we going to do? I mean, we're still, trying to grow and Coach Littleton is trying to get our program back up to snuff, Larry. Well, take it easy because Larry's going to explain how Tift County should be making the playoffs irregardless.
That's right. And so that brings us back to whether it's Tift County in the new region or Camden County.
Just use Tift County as an example.
That's right. So, Phil, here's what I think we're going to see across the board. If you are in a traditionally tough region, right? Remember I said earlier that this new formula doesn't really distinguish between region opponents. It's just every game's treated the same, right? But if you are in a tough region, meaning the teams that you play are most likely going to have good winning records, there's really not a premium on you winning the region game.
So you guys understand what we're saying here? Forget about what we have learned, what we have grown to know and learn. Which, hey, man, forget about what happens in the non-region. You got to win those region games again, because last year, look at Camden, and I hate to sound redundant.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you understand what Larry's saying here. Larry's giving you the application. I'm trying to take and apply it to what happened this past year as an example. Camden County, exactly what Larry is saying. Camden County scheduled a bunch of, again, just take it for whatever it's worth, guys. They scheduled teams in Florida who were beatable, and Camden County beat them, took care of business. That enabled Camden to become a playoff team, no matter what happened once they got to Region 1-6A. Larry, am I right?
That's right. So, Phil, if you are in a tough region, whether it's Thomas County Central or Tift County, Richmond Hill, Lowndes, just pick a team. If they're part of a tough region, if you're a head coach, you've got to be sitting there thinking, man, this is a really tough region. I may drop a game or two, right? But there's such a premium on winning games. How do I approach this non-region schedule? Shoot, I need to win all those games. So what does that encourage me to do as a head coach? Schedule games that I can win.
100%. Whatever, just win. Just win. Doesn't matter. We're going.
Think of those four squares. What's going to make the outcome what you want? Manipulate that square.
Larry, let me ask you this. And again, I'm some of these questions I already know the answer to, but I'm asking it because I want to ask questions that I think our audience may be having questions about and may want to answer or may want to ask. So with that being said, how is it going to affect scheduling a team that's not in your classification?
There is no distinguishing classification.
Guys, listen to what Larry is saying. Listen to that.
There is no plus side for you to schedule. Let's say you're a 5A team. There's no plus side for you to schedule a 7A team because there is no distinguishing classifications in this new formula. It's just, Phil, everything is based on win percentage, not classification or strength of schedule.
So you're saying win percentage, period.
What did the Raiders owner say? Just win, baby.
Just win, baby. So, guys, think about this, what we're saying and what Larry has been saying. What do you think? Why do you think we're seeing these schedules that are coming out? And I don't know, guys. I know there's been a lot of people that have been posting schedules. The ones I've seen so far, I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams 5-0.
Yeah.
Or
Phil,
should be 5-0.
And if you're a fan, there's no way you can blame your head coach because
100%.
This is the system they've been handed. And their livelihoods are at stake as well. So they're only responding to the system they've been given, right?
Clarence Smitty Smith, Larry.
Yeah.
It's got a good question.
Exactly.
Clarence Clements, famous saxophone player for Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, wants to know, why not just do away with the regions and everybody just play anybody?
You know, that's actually a very, very good question. So currently there still is a plus side to win your region. Okay. And that is you are guaranteed a home
First round
playoff. You're guaranteed a home playoff spot in the first round.
So
now,
go ahead.
So if let's say first that's like, Larry, that just makes sense. Why is that any better than the new system or the old system? Because Phil, you could belong to a weak region and still be a region champion, right? So as long as you're a region champion, even in a weak region, it's a home playoff game.
Okay,
and so that's what the designers purposely put into the system because they didn't want to penalize a region champion with this new formula. But on the flip side, to his point, what Smitty was implying was, so what's the point in coming in second place? Well, there is no point. other than it may, and it probably will, increase your PSR score. So indirectly, it does affect you, but not in the way that it did in the past. So our brains are still used to thinking the old way, and there was a benefit to being a second seed. And there still is probably for these teams down here a benefit for being a second seed, right? Because that probably means that you're going to have a high enough PSR score to host a first round game. And you probably, if you're a second seed in a region down here, you're probably going to host a second round game. So think about that for a second. In the old system, if you were a second seed, the only thing you were guaranteed was you were going to host a first round game. That's it. The next week, you're most likely going to be on the road. Okay. But with this new system, if your PSR score is high enough, regardless if you're second through fourth, you could potentially host first and second round games.
Guys, one thing you can do, and Brooks Carter brings up a good point. Brooks says the GIAA, or you may know him, remember as GISA, same thing. The independent schools, the private schools classification, they used the power ranking or the max preps rankings. I take that back. And by the way, that's not the same thing. I want to make sure everybody understands that. Okay. This is a GHSA proprietary system. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to make sure everybody understands it. So they're not, so Brooks, GIA may have used the max preps system, but this is not the same thing. I want to stress that to everybody. Don't be confused in that. Now, is it similar? Yes. Also, and this helped me get a handle on things because, as you guys know, we do our rankings every year. Well, ITG Next has been blessed, man. We have been asked by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, my buddy Todd Holcomb, and they've asked us to be a part of the AJC's composite ranking, where they take our top 10 by classification. They take, I'm trying to think who else is Score Atlanta, ITG Next, Maxwell ratings. Our buddy Lauren Maxwell is in there. GPB, Georgia Press, Georgia, what is it? Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. GPB, Georgia Public Broadcasting Sports. John Nelson, our buddy John Nelson. So there's six of us that we turn in our rankings every week.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm assuming Todd Holcomb, they've got a formula, a system of some kind that they use, and they input all of our information. And what spits out is a composite ranking. Okay. Let's just say if I've got, Milton ranked number 2 in the state, and my buddy next door at Score Atlanta's got him ranked 5th in the state. Okay. Everybody is going to kind of get an averaged out ranking. Okay. That's what I love. Now, where was I going with that? The fact that I had a chance this past year to look at what we call the private rankings, which was Class A, Division I. And by the way, remember this year, you don't have all that mess. There's Class A, AA, AAA. So forget about AD1, AD2, blah, blah, blah. That's gone. So now you've got single A, double A, triple A, 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A, and the 8th. You're still going to have 8 state championships that'll be rewarded, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the 8th state championship will be the private classification, which is, again, you're going to have Class A. You're going to have the private classification, which will be just the private schools that are separated out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and I was going somewhere with that. Oh, okay. So this past couple of years, or actually this past year, is what we kept it with. So you had the brackets. Remember when the brackets would come out every year? At the end, the brackets would come out. We all get to look at it. And by the way, what a mess this was this past year with everybody trying to project where playoff teams were going to be, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was a funny postseason, that's for sure.
Well, here's the thing about it, Larry, and help me out here. So as I see it, okay, as I see it now, your brackets are not going to be as easy to predict as they have been with the rankings of based on where you are in your region.
It's going to be impossible to predict.
Right, which that's right. Okay, so you see my point there. Teams, for an example, okay, you get to the end of this year. Let's just go back to this past year. You get to the end of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Team, I'm not using anybody in particular. I'll just say Milton. Milton just comes to mind. I like Ben Reeves. Okay, just it's on the front of my mind. That's the only reason. Okay, so Milton, Ben Reeves looks and says, all right, so we're going to be playing the Region 6, and if we win our region, we're going to be playing Region 6, and we're going to play their number 4 seed. Okay, and we should win that one. So I'm going to pencil us in there. All right, the next round will be the winners of blah, blah, blah. And we should win that one. And then you get into round 3, and y'all know where I'm going with that. Coaches were able to predict pretty easily with a high degree of certainty and confidence, Larry. They were able to predict kind of where and whom they would be playing, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the really sophisticated coaches would map out their bracket.
That's what I'm saying. Right. And that's exactly what I'm explaining.
Yeah, exactly right. So you know, if you need to rest some guys, if you have some injured players, you sit them out the first 2 rounds, that kind 100%. Of stuff. 100%.
Now, Larry, what I'm saying though now with the new system, that, as I see it, changes.
It's more difficult to predict.
Correct. Correct. And I like that. I didn't like the fact that, well, look, man, if we lose this last regular season game, we'll actually have an easier path.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with that.
Yeah. So, Phil,
do you guys understand, by the way, does anybody not understand? I want to know, because we can explain these things back to you guys. I mean, if you need clarification, I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah. So, in the past, you had a pretty good idea of going into the last week, a couple of different scenarios of who's going to be number 1 seed, number 2 seed. Maybe in the last week, it comes down to, okay, it's either going to be Lowndes or Valdosta. That's the number 1 seed, or Colquitt, whatever. And the worst case scenario is you lose this game, you're the 2nd seed, and you take this route in the bracket. But you can't do that anymore, because even though the 2 same teams play during the last week of the regular season, depending on the outcome of that, not just that game, but also the opponents they've played before that game, right? So all that factors in that final score. And so that cannot be determined until that last game is played.
There is my point exactly, Larry. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Gone are these coaches, and again, I'm not blaming coaches. Don't get me wrong. I saying, well, he's saying the coaches, right? Look, what I'm saying is what Larry just illustrated perfectly. You are not going to be able to forecast well in advance who you're going to be playing, where. You guys understand what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to do that anymore. And I like that. Everybody should love that.
Yeah. So, Phil, we've been sitting here talking about this, and to the casual observer, it may come across as, hey, we don't like this system. No, as a fan, I love this new system compared to the old system.
Of course. I mean, why would you not like this? Why would you not prefer this over the old system? That's right. It's a win-win for everybody involved. It's a win-win for the fans. It's a win-win for the players. Everybody involved.
Yeah.
And again, you've got opportunities now. Everybody's going to have the opportunity to make the playoffs. We keep going back to that. There is some good. There is some maybe not so good. I can see the not so good being, again, losing some of the competitive games like we've really enjoyed over the last 5 years or so. That's That's where I'm. Larry, do you agree with me?
I do. I do. And even though I like this new system we're going into, I still do think there are room for tweaks of it. You've got to have some type of way to account for the out-of-state games, especially when it comes to the component of your opponent's records. Because if it's going to apply to all these other schools that don't play out-of-state games, then
Yeah.
the ones that play out-of-state games may be at an advantage. We don't know that 100% because we don't have the data to support that yet. But
Right.
logically, I would think that's probably the case. We'll see in a couple of years after going through the system a couple of times statewide what the empirical data shows. But you got to think that it doesn't penalize you to having a weak out-of-state opponent.
Yeah. So again, and for the fear of sounding redundant, again, I'm trying to get my light right here, guys. So for the fear of sounding redundant, again, I think the Camden situation is one of the best examples of what the advantages, what the pitfalls are, what they were, this for this past season, and what they are going to be, what they're going to be for the season coming up. Okay, if you want to benchmark
Yeah.
against something, against a team, then look no further than the Camden situation last year. Larry, do you agree with that?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Because again, we were looking at a Camden team last year that was 5-0 after their first 5 games. That was their non-region portion of the schedule. Again, it does not make a hill of beans anymore. But if you want to look at the perfect illustration, an example of how this new system will work, last year Camden again ranked, and again I'm splitting here, whether it's 10th or 12th. Let's just say they were a top 12 team in Class 6A last year. Now, again, no offense to Camden. I don't mean that. I love what Weldon Coffee and Jeff Herring. Of course, I know he's not there anymore, but I like the Camden program a lot. Got a lot of respect for them. I'm just saying that this past season, I thought really illustrated there the perfect example of what you can pluck forth, the good and the bad, from the new power rankings formula.
Yeah, and Phil, like always, your viewers have great questions, and one great question is from Obadiah Farley, and his question is: do you think this new system pushes out a lot of coaches, or have them relocate across the state? Obadiah, excellent question. You guys have some great questions today with this new system.
Oh, he always does. I mean,
Yeah.
Obadiah's the man for sure.
So Obadiah, I'm only guessing, but I think it's an educated guess when I give it to you. And that is, it depends. Every system is always going to benefit some coaches and penalize other coaches. Now, what do I mean? If we operated under this new system,
Yeah,
would Travis Rowland still be the head coach at Camden County? The
probably
answer
so.
is most likely yes.
Probably so. Absolutely.
He would have
100%.
made the
he would be.
playoffs as a highly seeded team. That means he would have gotten at least one, possibly 2 home games against some weaker opponents, and he'd have probably made it to the quarterfinals.
Yep.
So to answer your question, Obadiah, it depends. In that particular example, it benefits that coach. In other examples of coaches in weaker regions,
Stand that way.
it may penalize them. We just have to wait and see what the data shows after a couple of years. So, but regardless, it's an excellent question.
And what you're seeing, though, in anticipation, and this is what really woke me up, what you're seeing in anticipation of this new formula, this new system, is without a doubt much easier schedules across the board for teams.
Yeah, I think so too. We're about to see that majorly.
I will, and listen, there's exceptions to everything. I do applaud the coaches, Sean Calhoun and Justin Rogers from Colquitt and Thomas County Central, respectively.
Yeah.
They are going to play to kick off the season. I mean, that is what football fans want to see, right, Larry?
Yeah, taking a look at these schedules that have come out for the Region 1-7A next year of teams,
Yep.
which
Yep.
there's three of them that have published their schedules.
Luke
And
Nelson, I'm coming back to you here in a minute, buddy. Go ahead,
yeah,
Larry.
and so Colquitt in their count them, you had to find six non-region opponents in this new system. And so out of those six games, you probably have two that are going to be tough. And that's Thomas County Central and Lee.
Is
So
this Colquitt you're talking about?
this is Colquitt.
Okay.
So kudos to them. And no knock against these other teams. We're talking Monroe, we're talking Cook County, Lincoln, and Rickards, which all four of those are going to be easy wins for Colquitt County.
Oh, wait a minute now. Go back over them again.
Monroe,
Okay.
Cook County,
Who?
Cook County,
Okay.
Lincoln out of Tallahassee,
Okay.
and Rickards.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Agree.
But to their credit, they do schedule a couple of really big doozies,
They do.
and I could look at Camden. They've got some good ones there, but most of them you don't know much about. But like West Volusia, maybe they're a good team. Chances are they're probably not world beaters. You got Godby, decent team. Benedictine is a really good team.
Yeah.
Lower classification, and they're, to Camden's credit, they're playing that game away.
Is Camden or Colquitt?
This is Camden playing Benedictine.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, third game of the season away on the road.
Oh, wow. Come on. Now, and this is what I like. There are these little nuggets. There are these little exceptions throughout the schedule. So, Larry, one more time. Camden's schedule will consist of whom?
Now Camden's got a pretty decent schedule. Listen to this. They've got first 2 weeks at home. They've got Brunswick and Glen Academy. I mean, Brunswick's a good team coming off a really good season. Got a new head coach over there in Byron.
I love it.
That's right. So potentially it's going to be 2 good games. Then they travel away to Benedictine, another really good game for Tucker Pruitt.
Wow.
Then they got Godby at home, Ed White Commanders. I've never heard of that team.
Yeah.
And then they got West Volusia. So Godby, Ed White, and West Volusia are probably going to be 3 easy games that they win at home before they start their region schedule. So they got a couple of good teams. They've got a couple of quality teams, and then they got probably 1 or 2 bad teams. That's probably going to be the formula. Phil.
So this is a little tougher. By the way, Larry, so with Tift County exiting 1-6A, is anybody, or 1-7A as it is anybody taking their place, or do we just have one less team in 1-7A this year?
One less team.
Okay. So, and by the way, that's quite interesting, guys. But where does that take 1-6A losing Tift County as a member of 1-7A? Okay, that's going to take some getting used to, of course. But so you guys see, there are, it's not like across the board. All the teams have scheduled have gone to easier schedules, because a lot of times you got to take what you can get. Okay. Larry, we've known that, right? I mean, we kind of figured that out. It's so hard to schedule, to find teams that want to play you.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, for better or for worse, Camden still has the reputation for being a tough opponent that you really don't want to go against.
That's right. And so the final 2 region teams out of 1-7A next year in Lowndes and Richmond Hill, I don't think they've published their schedules yet, and they have till March 1st to do it. So there's no pressure on them to do that.
Okay.
And typically this time of year, you start seeing schedules trickle out. And if they haven't been published, it's typically because they're waiting for 1 or 2 contracts to be sent back to finalize the deal before they publish it.
Yeah.
Right? So I know that's always been the case with Lowndes in the past, because sometimes they'll go out there and find a team, and it just takes a while to get a contract back, and you just can't publish a schedule unless you have all the contracts in.
All right, let's take a look at, by the way, guys, you are watching Extra Point with Phil Jones, Larry Godwin, my regular guest here on the show, a.k.a. my co-host, really. And I want to thank Dr. Kevin Collins, the Houston Clinic, longtime sponsor of the show. By the way, guys, if you want to get in on some sponsorship opportunities, by all means, shoot me a text at Phil at itgnext.com. Phil at itgnext.com. Would love to talk to you about some opportunities you guys can get as far as promoting your business throughout the show. Dr. Kevin Collins of the Houston Clinic, one of the best orthopedic doctors in anywhere, really. And I'm going to tell you, we're blessed to have him in Southern Georgia, no matter where you're watching, in the state of Georgia, really. Dr. Kevin Collins, the Houston Clinic is synonymous when it comes to sports medicine. Okay. Yeah. They are second to none. And boy, they do a great job. By the way, opening up a brand new clinic in Valdosta. And so they got a lot of things going on. I promise you, if you want somebody, if you've got a torn up knee, and I am there, by the way, 20 over 20 years of playing tennis, being a big guy and on a hard court has ruined my knees. So probably going to be looking at something there. I don't know, but in the way of getting something done about these knees. Anyway, Dr. Kevin Collins, I highly recommend him. Kevin Collins, MD, is his website. Okay, Clarence Smitty Smith has got a point here. Another good one. Clarence has been making some pretty good points throughout the show. He says the downside of this new system is it will hurt the home team's gait. Now, Larry, I want to get your take on this. Playing lesser opponents usually doesn't travel well. That's a fair point. I see it kind of balancing out, Larry, but I'll let you give your thought.
So I do this point. It depends, Smitty. So, in the past, it's not unusual for both Valdosta, Lowndes, Colquitt, Camden, fill in the blank teams to schedule what we would consider collectively as easy games, right? And so this problem has always existed down here. I've always been a big proponent of scheduling, a home and home series with these teams. So instead of having 2 years in a row where a team will come down here and we pay them to come down here and play us, that kind of stuff. So that kind of stuff has happened before. In other words, I don't know how to answer your question or even address it just because we've done it before. There have been many, many, many years where both of our teams have scheduled some easy games. And as long as the home side shows up, then you're going to make some money. But if we ever get to the point where the home sides just decide that it's just not worth it anymore, that's when the teams will change. But until that happens, we won't change very often.
I got you. All right. Taking a look at some of your other questions here. Obadiah Farley. Our big rivalries in South Georgia has declined to play us next season. Thomasville. I want to talk about this real quick. Okay. By the way, I'm trying to get my lighting right, guys. I'm all over the place here. Anyway, as long as you guys can see me, it's all that matters. Really, as long as you can hear me, it's all that matters. All right. So, Larry, I want to get your take on this too. All right. So, Obadiah talks about how Thomasville, Bainbridge, Cairo, okay, are not wanting to play Thomas County Central.
Yeah.
Look, here's my take on it. Starting with Thomasville.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I do not blame any of those schools, Obadiah. It's just not the way things are now, okay? It's not apples and apples anymore. It used to be where, you had Thomasville and Thomas County Central were on pretty equal ground, equal footing, Larry. Larry, feel free to chime in here if you want.
Phil,
go ahead.
We have been, throughout this entire conversation, we have been addressing this from only one side of the equation, and that's the teams that are really, really good, like in these higher classifications, and scheduling lower classification opponents. But if you are a lower classification team, like a Thomasville or a Bainbridge or a Cairo, what's the upside of scheduling Thomas County Central?
Right. Exactly. There's
With this
zero,
new system, there is
zero,
no incentive at
none,
all.
none.
And you're talking about coaches, their staffs, and all that comes with it, their livelihoods. If there's no incentive, why do it?
Agree with you 100%. And again, I want to kind of go back to it, with Thomasville. So, and I remember when this first broke, that Thomasville did not want to be on the schedule anymore. Did not want to play. I don't blame them one bit. Things have changed. Thomasville is a really solid team
Yeah.
at the class. What is it? What are they? Double A or I can't keep up.
Thomasville, I think they're in Double A.
Okay, so look, but I hear you. But I would not. Yeah, that's not a. I mean, come on. It's a foregone conclusion that that's going to be a Thomas County Central. Hair's sticking up there. The Thomas County Central, get that hair down. The Thomas County Central is going to win that game. Okay, it's just not. Like I said, it's not. It's a larger classification and one that's very successful. We know that. But yeah, we don't want to go that route. I mean, let's schedule games that are much more competitive. I love the Colquitt County, Thomas County Central game. That really made my day when I saw those teams were going to play each other. So, and Larry explained it just now about how with the new PSR formula, it just doesn't make sense anyway. So, but I think you got to go with the changes. Sometimes you got to flow with the changes, and this is a change that was much needed. So I wholeheartedly endorse Bainbridge, Cairo, and Thomasville not wanting to play Thomas County Central.
That's right.
Yeah, but now there are still again. I know that. Did you have the Thomas County Central schedule up, Larry? Did you have it up or not?
No.
If you didn't know, don't worry about it. Yeah. But anyway, I think you guys see my point. I think Thomas County Central still has got some very winnable games, and so it's going to be kind of all over the place with these schedules. But I think for the most part, and again, there's no blame to be levied here. But I just hate to see us, and again, I'm not putting blame on anybody or fault on anybody because you got to do what you got to do. The coaches do, I mean. But look, you've got for the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm speaking in generalities here, guys, these schedules have really been very competitive, up and down, some way more than others. Teams have played very competitive schedules where you didn't have many cupcakes on the schedule, right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you're in Region 2-6A, you've got a little cushion. You only have to schedule 4 non-region games, Phil.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
So if you're in Region 2-6A, you only have to schedule 4 non-region games, right? Because you have more members in your region.
Yeah.
You got 6 region games, and the 6 region games for Thomas County Central this year, in this order, starting September 25th, they're going to be at Lee County, then they host Veterans, at Houston, they host Tift County, they host Coffee, and they host Northside Warner Robins. Okay. Now, who are their 4 non-region opponents? That's a pretty tough region schedule.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they got 4 games to play with. So they start the season off at home against Colquitt County. Then they host Lincoln out of Florida. Yeah. So then they host Lithonia. Is that the way you pronounce it? Lithonia?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Lithonia. Lithonia.
And this one's a head scratcher to me. They travel to Quitman to play Brooks County in Quitman. Now, I'm not knocking them from scheduling Brooks County. Brooks County is a tougher, smaller class opponent, right?
No doubt. Yeah.
Now, do we expect Brooks County to win that game? No, I don't think anyone expects Brooks County to beat Thomas County Central. But the surprising thing to me is if you're a tougher, or if you're an elite large classification school, then perception public wise, you have the smaller classification school come to you. So kudos to Thomas County Central in actually doing what looks like a home and home series with Brooks County.
Look, I say I applaud both of those schools. Look, because of the Highway 84.
Yeah,
that's the Highway 84 corridor. That is a natural rivalry. That's a game. And sometimes there are games that make sense. Let's give it a shot. The
Brooks
Thomasville
County is
Thomas
going to
County,
make a lot of money that night on that gate receipt.
no doubt, and we understand that that's always been a part of the gig. Schools come in and they get a big portion of the gate. That's going to be a huge gate, obviously,
Yeah,
with Brooks County and Thomas County Central. And I do think that if you're going to play these larger classifications versus the smaller classifications, Larry, make
yeah.
it to where the teams are fairly competitive, which Brooks County is. So I like that. I like seeing what they're doing there at Brooks County with Thomas County Central. So, all right, guys, as we get ready to wind things up, we've had a fantastic show today. See if we got any last minute conversation comments coming in. Larry, do you have any? I mentioned earlier my buddy Luke Nelson, aka Big Buf. Luke, always
Yeah.
love seeing you catching us here on the show, my man. Very much enjoy the friendship. Steve Browning says TCC needs to come to Lowndes one year and vice versa the following year. That would make
I agree.
perfect sense.
I would love it. I would love it.
Got to make
Phil,
that happen for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
Go ahead, Larry.
that, guys, today's show has been a really good show, but a lot of the content was getting into the weeds of how this stuff is decided, how it's going to affect schools, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it was necessary to kind of get everybody on the same level playing field as far as their understanding goes. So now going forward, everybody knows exactly what this PSR does to their school system, why these teams schedule the way they do. So if you stuck around with us for the entire show, thank you so much, because we really got into the meat of this PSR system that's coming our way.
Yeah, Larry, well said, sir. So, guys, again, big thanks to all of the viewers who checked in today. We had a good, strong viewership from start to finish. I would like to ask, though, let's spread the word, guys. Share the show with fellow viewers. We're here every Monday talking high school football. And listen, there's going to be a lot more to talk about here in the next couple of weeks. Actually, the next couple of days. We'll be back with you next Monday. But things to watch for this week, okay, include the Rome coaching situation, which I'm going to predict is going to happen before we see you guys next, okay, which will be next Monday. I definitely think we're going to see something happen likely before the weekend, okay. The real quick, like the Appling situation, Larry, we think that we know who's got that job. That being the Lowndes quarterback coach.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. We've also got county job still open. There's some pretty good names around there. And then Cook. And Cook is definitely really big names thrown about for the Cook job, Larry. And again, I think that's going to serve two parties very well. You've got a coach that's going to come in with the salary that it is. It should draw a strong candidate, Larry. And then Cook needs to keep the stability that Dr. Byron Slack had made at Cook, the progress he had made there at Cook. Definitely important for them to keep that going. And I think that's why they're doing their due diligence, Larry.
That's right. Yeah. So traditionally, Cook has been a strong program. In recent years, they've upgraded their facilities. They've upgraded their pay as far as head coaching salaries go. And so they've got all the ingredients necessary for to continue that winning program. In the last several years since Byron Slack has been there, man, their community support as far as funding and that kind of stuff is off the charts now. And so, whoever goes into Cook County is inheriting a very, very good situation.
No doubt. Guys, thanks again for being with us. Again, big thanks. Yep.
So, Cook County, I'm talking directly to you. As long as it's not Jackson Dean, leave our head coach alone over there in Nashville.
And by the way, it was one of the first names that surfaced, and I think, look, yeah, why would you not, right? I think he's okay, though. I think he's okay. He started something great at Berrien. He is there to see it through. I think Berrien County fans can count Jackson Dean being around for a little while longer. So, guys, thanks so much. Again, big thanks to Dr. Kevin Collins, the Houston Clinic, sponsoring our show. Larry, another great show, man. Let's do it again.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks, everybody. See you guys next time.
All right,
God
guys.
bless and go Vikings.
Have a great week, guys. And be sure to keep tuned in to ITG Next, guys. Okay.